Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's League Unlock. My name's Eric, here with Mark, and buckle up because we had a weekend. We just had a weekend of action. There were a lot of games, a lot of playoff action, a lot of surprises, I'll say. Surprises is the word I'm going to go with.
Hey man, we had an Evil Geniuses certified banger #Live Evil style of weekend over in the LCS. And then again, that's just the LCS. We had a lot of other stuff going on around the other regions in the world. It was a wild banger of a weekend here with League of Legends, and we should dive in with the LCS to start.
Yeah, we're going rapid fire today, and we got to start with the reverse sweep from Team Solo Mid against the Golden Guardians. They threw the first two games. TSM looks in control in those games, and then they go down sizable in game three. They look like they maybe come back, then they throw again, and then the reverse sweep starts. We get to game five. There's a lot to look at in this series. The kind of overarching topics are Bjergsen played out of his mind, especially because he was drawing 3 to 4 bans every single game, and they let the Zillion through in game five, Mark. How?
Yeah, I think we had a total of 20 to 25 mid laners banned out in the entirety
Unreal.
of this series. From the side of Golden Guardians only here, talking about what they're banning out, trying to target Bjerg and limit his impact in the series. But as we saw in all 5 games, he was playing at an incredibly high level for TSM. And unfortunately for them and for himself, in those first 2 games, part of the incidences in what turned it around for Golden Guardians to get those wins. But man, you said it. There's no way around it. TSM does not get the reverse sweep. They don't even get one victory against Golden Guardians
They're 0
without
6.
the effort.
They're 0
Yeah,
6
without the effort that Bjergsen put up on the day.
You also had, obviously, this was Biofrost's return. It was Treats all the rest of the playoffs. And some of these Bard ults, man, I don't know if the communication just died. Especially, I'm talking about that infernal steal attempt from Spica where he literally hops in and immediately Biofrost ults the dragon. So he can't do anything and dies immediately. That's just communication. Nobody's talking there.
Yeah, and look, we saw Treats is Bard as well, and look, those ults were also all over the place, but at least those ults were just missing. They weren't costing you by the fact of the miscommunication, and that's clearly all it is there, because, you know, as the Nidalee is trying to go in, jump in, has that extra damage, trying to get that through, as well as the smite. That's the idea on Spica's mind. And then the Bard ultimate is a completely different path. There's, as Freak said it best, there's 2 worlds, right? There's a world where that Bard ultimate is the right idea. There's a world where no ultimate is the right idea. But putting that in, as Speak is trying to do it, and without that communication, clearly, as we saw, the effort, the proof is in the pudding right there.
That world doesn't exist.
That was not good. Yeah, that was not good.
And a lot of people, let's get this out of the way. A lot of people are flaming FBI because he flashes in the last team fight in game 5. That dude was playing out of his mind the entire series. It's like the reckless Twitch flash at 2017 Worlds. Dude carries the whole game, has one misplay that, yeah, it maybe costs you the game, but don't take away what he did the rest of the series. Listen to the praise Doublelift had for him. He was talking about the Golden Guardians bot lane being the best in the LCS in his opinion. So leave my man alone.
And even looking at this series, and even looking at the TSM bot lane performing better the second time around Golden Guardians, FBI and Huhi still were the better performing bot lane, and still were the one bullying and dictating the play down in the bot side of the map. Absolutely. Anyone coming for FBI, come for me first, man. I'm going to stand in your way. This boy absolutely does not deserve any of this. Yes, that's a big mistake. That's a man who got too hypey in a game 5 situation, feeling that pressure, feeling himself, feeling the power that he's got, trying to go in and make those plays. I will absolutely take a player like that on my team any day of the week over someone who is afraid to make that type of call, to make that move in. Yes, this one was not the right call, and yes, it looks really bad, and it cost them the series overall, but absolutely, you're not in this position whatsoever to start with without FBI, so you better put some respect on his name, the work he did this split, and what he did yesterday outside of, obviously, the unfortunate mistake.
And it ends the season for the Guardians, but they should be absolutely proud of what they did this split. Really, towards the end, credit to the LCS as these playoffs rolled on. You're talking about 4 teams now that you finally said, okay, they're okay. They're not bad. I don't feel terrible about these squads.
Right. As far as talking about, Cloud9's current performance level and then, TSM and the mistakes that happened there, sure, we can talk about those a lot of times. But from where we started this split for the LCS and where we're ending it right now and talking about the level of play that we're able to get from at least, 3, 4, 5 teams maybe at the max, you're talking about what you'd be interested in seeing moving forward, building off of the successes, the positives that you've seen from these organizations this year. Yeah, I'll take it absolutely when you look at teams like the Team Liquid, FlyQuest, Golden Guardians, C9, and TSM.
And let's give a little credit also to Broken Blade. We didn't talk about him. He was clearly, I think, the second best performing member of TSM throughout this series. He had some great TP flanks, especially in that game 5. Actually having impact on a Renekton in late game fights is impressive enough,
I have Godzilla doesn't even get it, man. Like, I don't understand what level of lizard kingdom do we need to get to talk about what this crocodile was doing, because it was insane. The flanks, the damage that Broken Blade was able to get off, and yes, this is a player that we expect a lot from. There's a lot asked from Broken Blade, given the import slot that he does take up on TSM in that top side, the skill that we have seen from him show off during his time in North America, trying to get that consistently, trying to get it in the big moments consistently. That's been the struggle. Obviously, this week really did work out, and you definitely need to tip your cap for the job Broken Blade did in the top side and how he performed for the team overall.
And now, this does not end the run or the pressure for TSM. They're not qualified for Worlds yet. Cloud9, we know, dropped to the losers bracket after losing to FlyQuest. They did bounce back to 3-0 EG, and now you have the stage set for what is going to be an absolutely insane best of 5 between C9 and TSM. It's not the finals. Okay, that's fair, but there's more stakes than the finals because one team's going to Worlds, one's season ends. The storylines here are obviously absolutely insane. Sven versus his former team, Cloud9, the most dominant team for a split that we've ever seen in North America, could miss Worlds? What?
Man, this is the best because you even remove the historic Cloud9 and TSM, rivalry, big brother, little brother type of syndrome going on, all these championships on both sides. You remove all that. Even just focusing on this year and the storylines, it is so exciting, so hype. You got a Cloud9, maybe the best performing, most dominant team we've ever seen in North America. And they could possibly not have a chance to ever prove it internationally for the region. And then on the other side, all the storylines with TSM and everything that they've gone through, all the drama and everything that goes through, the reverse sweep, and of course, the veteran player storylines of Bjergsen and Doublelift there. Man, I don't think you've ever had a fight for that last spot to go to Worlds be as exciting as this in North America.
And the big mismatches and, lane matchups to look at for me, Doublelift and Bio, I think are a huge liability and mismatch going up against Cloud9 like they were against the Guardians. And what we've seen so far in playoffs, Niski looks like he's going to be a liability going up against Bjergsen. So there's, I think, a huge advantage in those two lanes, which we'll see what they emphasize as the junglers.
Oh, man, there's a lot more than that. Even when you go to the top side, you got Broken Blade and Licorice as well. That one is always a fight back and forth in that top side. And you said it, though, the liabilities, it's going to be, I think, the advantage, obviously, to TSM right now. Bjergsen, man, there's not a lot of other mid laners that you could put up against him in the form that he is playing right now. That drive, that passion to get this team across that finish line to go to Worlds, it is almost looking unbeatable at this point. And when you're talking about down in the bottom side, yeah, Doublelift and Biofrost, sure, they stepped up from what we saw against the Golden Guardians as a bot lane performance, but still a lot of questions and still, a level of improvement that can be reached for them. And even on Cloud9, I think there's some improvement to be made for Sven and Vulcan, but they certainly are the ones heading into this one with the more power in the bot side.
It's going to be absolutely insane seeing that match. Either way, I'm going to feel bad for whichever squad does not get to represent North America at Worlds. That's just the LCS. We still got action over in EU. And listen, all season, the broadcasts on the LEC, everyone's been hyping up this new era. It's the Mad Lions. It's Rogue. And then playoffs roll around, and what happens? It's G2, and it's Fnatic. Now, we look at G2 and Mad Lions first. That was actually a competitive series. That was exciting. I think almost lived up to the hype of them matching up. There were some close moments, but G2, they continued the win streak they had in the regular season, and I think the biggest reason, your boy Wonder is looking like the best top laner in the West right now.
Oh man, it is insane. Absolutely I'm going to say it like without a doubt. I think the best Nico top laner in the world right now, the way that he plays that champion up in that top side, man, you'll love watching Wonder play like this for G2 because if Wonder's playing like this for G2, the other members are obviously either playing at a similar level of performance or not too far behind. But when Wonder plays like this, that top side of the map, being that level of strength, it opens up so much more for players like Caps, like Perks to really flex their muscles when they can take over, when teams start to put that attention towards Wonder, trying to shut him down, trying to make sure he's not a problem. Man, there's going to be a lot of problems if that is all you're trying to focus on with G2.
And Yanko stepped up. I mean, Shadow has annihilated him in series past, and he did annihilate him in one of these games. I think at one point it was 4 levels up on that Lee Sin. You enjoying seeing the Lilia popping off in the jungle?
When this champion was shown off, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm sure there's going to be a way for it to appear in pro play, and there'll be a patch that comes through, and the way that they've made recent champions, oh man, there's going to be a busted version for sure. But it's actually pretty fun. I'm going to be honest. I think it is a really nice spin, a little difference on the Rift from something to watch. And it actually forces teams to be creative and make some comps either around it or involved with it, trying to work through it. And the playmaking, obviously, from having an ability that's, pretty global rolling through to make you sleepy. Oh boy, that's a lot going on. I like seeing this champion being played, and I like teams getting creative with it.
Yeah, it's another fun pick to throw around, and it's always more fun when the junglers are doing damage. But other than that, complete slaughter that Mad Lions and Shadow in particular did in that Game 3. G2 looked really good in this series, really finding that form again, and they're pretty much immediately favorites again to win Summer. Some people even had them favorites before the split was starting, with good reason. They had momentum coming into this series. But Mad Lions, they still have a chance. They have a date with Schalke, which is an absolute tragedy that one of those squads will not be going to Worlds. It's a tragedy.
How crazy is it that you got four World spots, yet in regions like the LEC and the LPL, you're kind of looking at it like, man, 4 is not enough. We need more of these people to go to Worlds. We want to see them succeed on the international stage. And man, that matchup between Schalke and Mad Lions, whoever wins going to Worlds, look, whoever is, that's exciting for the LEC region. But at the same time, as you said it with Cloud9 and TSM on a different level, this is going to be sad and disappointing to say goodbye for the year.
And a lot of the reason for that is, well, Fnatic and Rogue, we had the other match, the top seed from the LEC, and Carlos Ocelot he straight up tweeted, why do you get a regular season team to qualify for Worlds before there's even playoffs? And I agree with that sentiment because Rogue did. I said Mad Lions were competitive against G2. Rogue was not. They got absolutely smashed, and Fnatic was not looking nearly as good as G2 coming into playoffs.
And now this is a huge, and I don't want to understate or overstate whatever type of situation. This is huge. This is massive. This weekend and this failure for Rogue, for the reasons of what they showed and how little adaptation, preparation, anything of that sort they seem to show in their matchup against Fnatic. Because it wasn't just about the execution of the individual players on the Rift. It wasn't just about what was coming through from the Fnatic side. It was the lack of adaptation, lack of anything on the side of Rogue. It was just standard, man, Larson, you're really good. Let's put you on a 0 Corky. We'll be fine.
You'll carry us, okay. That's 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's Rogue. And look, we've talked about Rogue and we've been pretty high up on Rogue, but this is certainly one of those situations where you got to show more. You have to be able to show more. You got to have more prepared. And this was very clear that that was the gap. This was the gap in preparation and the coaching staff and everything else, and outside of the gap on how the players perform on the individual day. That is my concern. And my concern moving forward, as you said, this is a team that has locked up their world spot. That is going to be going representing the LEC, taking one of those spots. You go to Worlds with this level of preparation and how you're preparing, I promise you, even teams in North America, and this is North America, for fun region, are going to be able to step up and adapt and know what they need to do. That's what happens when you got time and you got focus on on one single opponent. That's what's going to happen in a playoff series, these best of type of series. Rogue needs to wake up really fast to get to that next level.
And they do still have a chance at redemption. It's not like this is the last we'll see of them before Worlds.
Yeah, but they're going up against Schalke. Schalke
or Mad. Whoever wins that advances to face Rogue. They could still win.
Come on, man. You don't got faith in Schalke. Come on.
I'm gutted that one of those squads isn't going to Worlds, man. I want them both there. But maybe Rogue has a redemption story and bounces back. But Fnatic, they did look a lot better. Like, Rogue absolutely underperformed and disappointed, but this was self-made, absolutely annihilating 2 Evelyn games and a Karthus. How fun is playing AD carry against Evelyn? 1 to 10.
Oh, man. That is nasty stuff coming through. Man, outside of the LCK, I don't know if we've got many better Evelyns than what Self-Made was showing us this past weekend. This was beautiful stuff coming through. And, of course, hey, man, put Nemesis in that mid lane, put him on a champion that can build a tier, you're going to hyperscale, no problem.
Yeah, it was nice seeing him on actual picks that could dominate the lane.
Hey, man, I liked what I saw from Fnatic. As much as we, criticize and are saying that Rogue did not come prepared and didn't adapt whatsoever, still, full props. Fnatic absolutely did come in preparation and game plan, and let alone, as we said, the game plan, the coaching staff, positives, but certainly the individual performances from the players were on point for the day.
And now we get Fnatic versus G2 in the semis. It's the same story as always, but I'm just as hyped, maybe even more hyped, that they both slumped throughout the split, that we will get that rematch over in the LPL/LCK, the Eastern scene. It was semifinals and more Worlds qualifications on the line for the top 2 seeds, Top eSports and JDG. And when you include all the major regions, these are the games that kind of went as expected, with Top eSports 3-0ing Suning. And listen, there were some competitive moments. Props to Suning. They absolutely showed up. Yes, there were some fights in a couple of the games where, I think just one of the games was clearly Top dominating them. But we finally get to see Knight at Worlds, Mark. It happened.
It felt like a 2-stage playoff, really, in the LPL, where you had this opening part where, man, you're getting the FPX action, getting some Victory 5 in there, that type of stuff. And then, of course,
the big boys
this is where
this
is where the real challenge begins, the real tournament. Now you're into real time against things like Top eSports, like JDG. And as you said, they took care of business as expected. And yes, finally, last year denied, this year no longer. We will get to see Knight, arguably the best mid laner in the world, performing on the international stage, going up against the rest of the very best from the world. This is everybody's a winner at this point. I don't care. Even if you're not a fan of Top eSports in the LPL, you're still a winner, because they're going to get to go up against some of the best in the world at Worlds. This is a team. These are players that, if you're just a fan of League of Legends, you want to be seeing the best of the best play, and this is what you're going to get with Top eSports.
And it was actually really 369 and Karsa that stepped up in these games and were the standout performers. And anytime it's somebody other than Knight or Jackie Love getting those honors, it only speaks even better for TES. The other side of the bracket, JDG versus LGD, was a little bit more competitive. There was the one game that was one of the biggest stomps we've ever seen in the playoffs of the LPL, but somehow LGD bounced back and won a game after that. I don't know how they weren't tilted off the face of the earth.
I don't know how they weren't tilted, but the thing that I come out of this one, obviously, is if you're on the LGD side, there's some disappointment. You were hoping to get a little better and hoping to keep this run alive, pushing forward. What I take away from this one, I think LGD are in good shape for the regional gauntlet. I think that's what I've seen the most part from them in the playoffs, that they are going to be a team to reckon with, and you need to be taking very seriously and prepare for in this gauntlet.
They should be favorites
Obviously,
over Suning, I think. Yeah.
I would think so as well, but yeah, this is where the run ends as we keep talking, man. These big boys, they're just too good at the very top of the table in the LPL, and man, it is going to be a clash of the titans when we get them together.
The third place match, by the way, is now Suning LGD and is actually meaningless because they play for that third seed in the gauntlets regardless of who wins. So they're going to play back-to-back best of fives. I better see 5 straight troll games when they match up for the third place match. Don't reveal anything.
If you're throwing Shea up into the top lane, you're throwing Peanut down into support, man. I want wild things. I want to see Teemos. I don't want anything that you're ready to bring into this regional gauntlet. I'm almost always about competitive integrity and trying your very best and putting it all through. Screw this match, guys. A worlds. You're gonna go to worlds. Come on. That's what you're looking for.
This will be mental gymnastics more than anything. Seeing that third place match between them and TES and JDG, obviously both going to worlds. Lastly, we had T1 versus Dragon X. It actually didn't mean much or anything for seeding, but we got to see Faker return. He comes in for game 2 after T1 is up 1-0. They proceed to kind of int the entire game. He gets Galio duty, which, listen, Faker's one of the best Galio players in the world, but then he gets subbed out. You can't sub my man out. Either don't play him in this series or he's finishing off the series. Come on.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's where I have my fault with it is the idea of putting him in and then subbing him out for closer. And look, I know if you really want to nitpick, I'm sure the reason for it was trying to get back to what they had in game 1 and all these other type of things. But man, yeah, you're making that change at this point and what the standings are. Come on, guys, you let the Faker stay in there and play. That's how it's going to go through. But oh
now,
boy, that is
being said,
something.
Coach Kim, remember how often he would bench the Shy in 2018 for Duke. And the Shy was clearly the best top laner in the world, and he would, in the middle of series, even against KT at Worlds, he subbed the Shy out. Game 4 said, listen, you look a little tilted, bro. Sit out. Come back for game 5. We'll lose this one, whatever.
Yeah, and again, as we constantly reiterate, and it seems crazy, but it seems with a player of Faker stature, you have to do it, and he's not going anywhere, man. He's there, and he's there with T1. They're not going to be treating him like garbage, my man. This dude is the king of T1, and he's going to be treated just like that. It'll be back. And anyone complaining about drafting a Galio, it's Faker.
That's
it's
pick,
Galio.
man.
What are you talking about? Come on. Oh, man.
And now, even with the win, they still have to run the full gauntlet. They get the 4-5 matchup against Afrika. Who's starting against Afrika? Is it still closer?
It could be. At this point, I don't think I'm close. I'm close enough, or anyone is really close enough to Coach Kim to make that type of call right now on the outside. I think either one, you got to be favoring T1 in this series against the Afrika Freaks. I just think that there's so much for them. But obviously, as it showed, if they play like they did in that game 2 when Faker stepped in that lineup, no. They won't be getting past the Afrika Freaks. But if they play anything like they have over the past couple of weeks with closer in the lineup, surely they will quickly dispatch Afrika Freaks.
And we will do a full playoff preview of the LCK later this week before it gets going. But that's all the time today for League Unlock. Mark and Eric here with you guys. As always, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the flippity flop.